Hi Hyde Beagles, we are here for a question and answer session with Miss Cole. We've received many questions from our parent university sessions and we wanted to address those so that the whole school could hear the answers. Here we go. All right, our first question is, when will hand washing and sanitization take place?
That is a great question. We are going to do hand sanitizing as the students enter the building first thing in the morning, and then every single hour, students will get the opportunity to use either a hand sanitizer provided by our school district, and or they can also go as a class to the restrooms where they'll also be washing their hands. They will also wash their hands right before going to lunch. They will eat lunch first, go to recess, and then again they will be using hand sanitizer before coming back into the building, and again every hour on the hour as they progress through their day.
What changes have been made in response to COVID-19 to keep students and staff safe?
We have done a lot of changes. Starting with first thing in the morning, we're going to ask parents to not get out of their car, and we would personally prefer that they don't come on the property. If parents do come on the property, we do want them to have masks on and socially distance. Once they're on the property, we have used our entire playground for students to line up in their cohorts, as well as we have 3 entrances now for students to enter and exit every evening. They will be using the same entrance every single day, including when they go out for their recess time, so that we can just have that contact tracing. We've also marked the hallway every 6 foot for students to stand on when they are out in the hallways, just as an extra measure for them to be aware of where their surroundings are. We have taken a lot of time to look at our playground and the structure of our playground. In fact, we're continue to mark activities that students can use and the playground equipment that they can use to make sure that they are socially distant. Another change that we've made is in our cafeteria. Students will be 3 to a table in the cafeteria. They will be facing the exact same direction while they're in there. Only one cohort can be in the cafeteria at a time, so we have maintained another distant area in the library for eating as well. One other place that we made a change is students will be offered a grab-and-go breakfast in the morning that they will take from a cart when they enter the building. They will take it to their classroom. They will eat in their classroom instead of going to the cafeteria to eat. We are doing obviously our temperature checks, and all students will be wearing masks throughout the entire day. They will be able to take their mask off while they're outdoors. Our bus system has completely refined itself, where family members are sitting together and they're also loading the bus from the last person, or the first person on is the last person off, so that students are not crossing paths when they're in that space as well. And then we've also changed all of our classrooms to meet some of the guidelines for social distance, students facing forward, and trying to pare down our classrooms to where that we can ensure the safety of our students. Families, another change that we have made to our entire building structure is these refillable water stations for our students. So it's really important to go ahead and send them with a refillable water bottle or a disposable one, but that way they can have water at their desk at all times. They can come in and use this handy dandy little refillable station and safely get their water.
Okay, the next question is, what do I do if my child has a fever?
The obvious answer to that, Ms. Garcia, is please stay home. If your child is experiencing any flu-like or COVID-type symptoms, we would prefer that they stay home until they're fever-free without any medications. We prefer them to stay home, even go to the doctor, and we will gladly provide work, but for the safety and precautions to all staff and students, we do want for parents to self-assess, do a self-screener before you ever send your students to school. We have had the fortunate opportunity to get a full-time nurse for our school this year, and so we will be taking temperature checks before any student enters the building. If a student is running a fever before entering the building, the nurse will be in contact with you, and the student will have to go home for a minimum of of 24 hours and possibly longer as long as they're experiencing symptoms. So please be considerate of everyone around
What
you.
happens if any staff member at Hyde becomes ill? What would the protocol be for that?
The protocol for any staff member that reports of an absence, the district provides a substitute teacher in place of that teacher. So regardless if it's face-to-face teaching or a My School remote teacher, we have plans for a high-quality substitute to take over that class.
Is it possible that an entire class would have to quarantine if somebody becomes sick?
That is always a possibility. However, our school district, and most importantly our teachers have gone to great lengths to make sure that our students are socially distant, as well as if they are wearing their masks. So there is a 6-10 rule. If they are closer than 6 feet for more than 10 minutes with a mask off, there would be that potential that the whole class would have to be quarantined. However, our students, when they're sitting in a classroom, are required to have a mask, and hopefully they are socially distant, and they are not shoulder to shoulder with mask off for more than 10 minutes. So the likelihood of a whole class being quarantined is very minimal because of all the different changes that we've made within our classrooms.
What would the transition look like if we were to go from face-to-face to full remote learning at home?
And that's a great question. First, the decision is made using the matrix that was provided to our Board of Education with the help of Kansas Department of Education as well as Sedgwick County Health Department. All of the COVID response preparation work that our district has done is out on our website. It's at usd259.org WPS return. I would encourage all parents to look out there for all their very specific questions. But the answer to your question, Ms. Garcia, is a transition from a face-to-face learning to a remote learning essentially would be made by the decision of the Board of Education as well as Wichita Public Schools. Our superintendent would make that decision. We, of course, would notify parents. Fortunately for our district, we've gone to a universal school supply list that includes a binder with all kinds of writing utensils, a whiteboard, markers. All of our students will be equipped with a one-to-one technology. So in the event we were to have to move to a remote learning for the entire school, what we have created is basically a grab-and-go pack, and the students would be able to put all of that stuff into their backpack and take it home with them. Teachers have been preparing for virtual learning this entire month, so in the event we were to have to go to remote, they are equipped to go ahead and teach in that distance learning mode.
When is the last time that families can make changes to their enrollment options?
That is the question of the year. Parents, ideally, we would want you to go ahead and make that decision today. But Dr. Thompson has agreed that you can make changes to your enrollment versus face-to-face or My School Remote no later than Friday this week. As you know, we're going to start school on September 8th, and we have to give our teachers time to prepare for your students' learning. So the sooner, the better. Once your decision is made, if for some reason that learning mode is not working for you in January, you can make a change at that time and go to the other learning option.
What does Latchkey look like this school year at Hyde?
In response to COVID, our Latchkey director as well as the supervisors have gone to great lengths to make sure that every child has a specific assigned area with specific activities for them to engage in before and after school. We've also got some distant learning areas in the multipurpose room as well as the library that they're going to be using. They also are able to go outside and enjoy the fresh air without mask during climate weather.
Are there any changes to the procedures that we normally follow for lunch and recess?
There are some minor changes. The first change is that we are going to go to lunch first, and then students will go outside to play after that. Of course, I've already talked to you about the hand washing cycle that all students are going to be involved in. Students are going to use the multipurpose room or the library to eat. They will be eating with their cohort so that we are not mixing more students together. And then when they're going outside, again, they're in their cohort, so we have smaller groups of students in activities out on the recess. The other big change, parents, and it's sad for me to say, but we are not going to be able to invite parents into the school to have lunch with your child. And I'm very, very sorry for that. I hope that in the spring things become better so we can invite you back into the building.
Okay. What has not changed this school year, and what do we have to look forward to coming back to school, whether that be My School Remote or face-to-face learning?
That's my most favorite part of this job. Is the first thing that hasn't changed is the commitment from the staff and our paraprofessionals and our custodians and our secretaries. They've been unbelievable and stoic at creating the best learning environment, regardless if it's face-to-face or My School Remote. They've gone to great lengths to make sure that the classrooms are warm and inviting. If it's My School Remote, they're going to have engaging learning opportunities on a computer. So that definitely hasn't changed. We are a Leader in Me school, and so we are very, very proud of the work that we are doing within our 7 habits, and we're going to be continuing to live within those 7 habits. We also are addressing our social emotional needs with our second step curriculum, as well as we're going to continue to read and write and do math within the Wichita Public Schools framework. We're going to continue to use Journeys for reading and Engage New York for math.
What changes have been made to specials classes in regards to the safety of staff and students?
We have moved all special classes to the classroom. Rather than special teachers having their own classroom, the special teachers are going to walk to Ms. Garcia's classroom. A lot of our physical education classrooms are going to be held outdoors, weather permitting, of course. Some of our singing is even going to go outside because students can be able to take off their masks and enjoy singing outdoors. Art will be on a cart inside the classroom as well as library. All right, so Ms. Garcia, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Why don't you talk to everybody about the changes that you've made inside the classroom that's very similar to the other changes from other teachers?
So a lot of you have been asking what our classrooms look like. So we're in my classroom today. All of the desks are spaced out about 3 feet, maybe a little bit further than 3 feet apart, both side to side and as much as we could front and back. All the students are facing forward and facing the same way. They will be required to wear their masks when they're in the class, like Ms. Cole has mentioned. All of our classrooms have closets where the students would hang their coats, hang their backpacks, their lunch boxes, and we are not going to do that anymore, just to kind of minimize that contact that students could have or minimize the number of times they would overlap with one another. So in my classroom, we're going to have bins that will go next to their desk on the floor. This will hold a backpack, a coat, a lunchbox, a water bottle. Any of the students' belongings will go in here, and it will go on the floor, and this will be there. So mine are numbered, so whoever number 1 is will always use the same bin. Another change that we've made is none of the classroom supplies will be shared this year. So whatever supplies students have will stay in their desk and will be theirs, and there will be no sharing, just to minimize the number of times that students are touching surfaces that have been touched by other people. We don't want that this year, so everything will be individualized and